They said nothing when she walked out. Not Emmanuel, not Jesse, not the guests who devoured every second of her embarrassment like a free meal. But the silence followed her. Out the gates, down the hill, all the way home. Her heels wobbled, her breath caught. Still she walked. Each step felt heavier than the last, but she didn't cry. Not until she reached the little alley where no one could see her. Not until the borrowed clutch dropped from her hand and she finally let go. Tears fell fast, hot, ugly, unfair. Why did being honest feel like being punished? She wiped her face with the back of her hand and kept moving. By the time she reached the one-room house, her eyes were swollen. The door cracked. Yolande stood up from the mattress. Didn't ask questions, didn't say a word. She just opened her arms. Anna collapsed into them. And for the first time in days, maybe weeks, she let herself be small. Let herself be held. They sat like that for a long time. I didn't lie, Mommy, Anna whispered. I know, Sherry, Yolande replied. But sometimes the world can't handle the truth coming from the wrong lips. The next morning came anyway. Sunlight, birds, children shouting in the street. Anna pulled the curtain aside. A little girl in uniform ran to school, clutching a lunchbox with one broken handle. She used to be that girl, except now she wasn't sure who she was anymore. At school, the stares burned deeper. Even the kind ones felt loaded. No one laughed. But no one sat next to her either. She took her seat, opened her notebook, ignored the buzzing phone in her bag. Another meme, another edit, another reminder that she'd gone viral for the wrong reasons. Jesse walked in, didn't look at her, but sat close enough to be noticed. The teacher arrived, opened the lesson, and called on someone else, again and again. Anna closed her book. It wasn't that they hated her now, they just didn't know what to do with her. She wasn't inspirational anymore. She was uncomfortable. By midweek, the video had over 100,000 views. The title was brutal, Poor Girl Tricks Rich School. She read the comments. She knew she shouldn't, but she did. At least she's pretty. This is why we test people before we let them in. Bet she smells like the market. Madam Sarah's daughter? She closed the app. Later that night, Yolande found her outside, barefoot, sitting on the stoop. I can drop out, Anna said. Work with you. We'd have more money, less problems. Yolande didn't flinch, didn't get emotional. She just shook her head. You think I scrub floors so you can come scrub floors next to me? Anna didn't answer. I don't work so you can be invisible, Yolande continued. I work so you can shine without apology. Anna blinked hard. Then why does it feel like being myself is the problem? Yolande smiled, a tired old smile. Because, baby, the truth is too loud for people who live in lies. Meanwhile, across town, only one person hadn't posted anything about Anna. Emmanuel. He watched the storm, watched her disappear from school, watched Jesse gloat and the teachers pretend like brilliance had never walked those halls. One afternoon, he found her old essay in his backpack, the one about her mother. He reread it, line by line, and something in him cracked. But pride is a quiet jailer, and Emmanuel was its prisoner. While the world moved on, Anna found work. She helped her mother sell in the market. She tutored younger students at night. She stopped trying to be elegant and started trying to be herself. But something strange happened. The more she disappeared from the world of wealth, the more people began to notice what they'd lost. One girl posted, Anna helped me pass math. I was failing before her. Another wrote, she never said she was rich. Y'all just assumed. Then a mother added, my son says he misses the smart girl with the nice laugh. And slowly, just like the gossip, the truth started to spread. Not as fast, not as loud, but true things don't need volume. They just need time. Back in the mansion, Emmanuel's mother kept making plans. Weddings, campaigns, handshakes. But he couldn't stop thinking about the girl who stood in a room full of judgment and smiled anyway. One evening, he walked past the school library and paused. There on the bulletin board was a photo of the science team. Anna stood in the middle, grinning, holding a trophy twice her size. Someone had drawn a gold crown on her head, and underneath, in messy handwriting, real elegance doesn't come from where you live. It comes from what you survive. And Emmanuel realized, Maybe Anna had walked away from him, but maybe he was the one who let her go. And then something strange happened. Her inbox started filling, not with hate, but messages from girls, from boys, from strangers. They did you dirty. I saw the whole video. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm the first in my family too. Don't let them win. One girl wrote, I showed my mom your video. She cried. She said you remind her of herself. Anna stared at the screen. For the first time, she didn't feel like a punchline. She felt like a mirror. At school the next day, things were different. Still cold, still tense. But when the teacher asked a hard question, no one raised their hand. Then slowly, Anna did. The teacher hesitated, then nodded. Anna stood up and answered, perfectly. Even Jessie didn't look away. That afternoon, Emmanuel was waiting by the gate. She saw him, rolled her eyes, and kept walking. He jogged to catch up. I was wrong, he said. She didn't stop, didn't look at him. You stood there, she said. Watch them humiliate me. I didn't know what to say. You're one of the smartest boys in this school, Emmanuel. Don't insult me, he exhaled, defeated. I wanted to protect you. Anna finally turned. You protect people by standing beside them, not behind silence. He nodded, quiet. She looked away. But before she left, she added, you still owe me an apology, but not for you, for me. And then she walked off. A few days later, the school announced a guest speaker, some politician, famous, important. He was late. The auditorium buzzed. Then just before the principal took the stage to cancel. A surprise, the speaker changed. It was Anna. She stood alone. No notes, no mic, just her voice. She told her story, the truth of it, the good, the ugly, the honest, no apology. She ended with this. I didn't come here to fool you. I came here to learn beside you. I'm not sorry for where I'm from. I'm proud of it because the person you see here, she's not a trick. She's a survivor. The room was still. Then someone clapped, then another, then everyone, even Jessie, even Emmanuel. They used to look away. Now they look up. Not because Anna changed, but because she didn't. And just like that, the story began to shift. Not because Anna fought back with fire, but because she refused to vanish. They tried to erase her, but kindness, courage, and truth, those things echo long after whispers fade. This wasn't the end of her story, not even close. In fact, it was just the beginning. Stay tuned for part 3 of Anna's story. And if this moved you, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like Anna's reach the people who need them.